You do have a quorum, Amy, if you do want to go ahead and start.
Well, that is my vote if everyone else is okay with that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll call the meeting to order. Jenny, do you want to do roll call, please? Jenny,
Kelly?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Holly?
Here.
Amy?
here.
Josh is not here yet. Ashley is not here yet. And Stephanie?
Here.
And next we have approval of the minutes from February, which was the last time we met. Can I get a motion to approve the February minutes?
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Sorry, Kelly.
Thank you. I'm assuming there's no audience items.
No, I don't have anybody on the call.
Okay, thanks. So then I guess we are ready to introducing Jason. Do you want to spend some time letting us who you are and what you've been doing and are you working from home or?
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, hi everybody. I wish I got to meet you guys under different circumstances. I did get to meet Holly briefly in person as she was with child planting flowers. So I've met one of you and I've had a conversation with Steve before. So I know a few of you. But yeah, I'm Jason Tran. I'm your new Parks and Recreation Director. I come here by way of Urbandale Parks and Recreation. I was a recreation coordinator down there. I have been in the Parks and Rec field for just about 11 years. And like many people, I did it the hard way. I started with part-time and seasonal work, like a lot of people do. So I've worked at several agencies around the metro. And from 2015 till the very end of 2017, I had the opportunity to be a Parks and Rec professional in Colorado. So I jumped on that. So if you get the chance to be in Colorado and you're in Parks and Rec, you do it. So yeah, when we were out there, we started a family. We have a 3-year-old son. His name is Caleb. So yeah, once that happened, we moved back for the Urbandale position. And I was really excited about the Polk City position when I saw it. Because before I left for Colorado, I was working for the Des Moines Parks and Rec department and living here in Polk City. So 2012 through 2015, we lived on Bel Air Road. We fell in love with Polk City, you know, the small town, just being surrounded by Saylorville and Big Creek and Jester. Like it's pretty cool up here already. And to be hired to come in and try to make it better, I really couldn't pass up that opportunity. So my family's excited to be here. We did sell our Urbandale house, move here during a global pandemic. I don't recommend doing any sort of real estate transaction during that, but it is what it is. We're here and we're happy to be here. So yeah, anybody have any questions? I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. Go Pack Go. I'm a graduate of Iowa State, diehard Iowa Stater. How I recreate, I cycle, I hike, I fish, I play pickleball, and golf is pretty much what I do to get outdoors. So yeah, any questions? I'm pretty much an open book. I'll answer almost anything.
What are like 2 of the things you're most excited to start working on once you can actually go to the office and the parks and be in your real job?
Sure. So actually, I've been able to work about 2 days a week. I get to be up here at City Hall. And then the other 3, I'm working from home. So probably number 1 on my list is, you know, up until this point, it's been very seasonal. You know, it's been the summer rec program up here. And that certainly filled a need. I'm excited to bring 12-month-a-year programming, events, leagues here. You know, most places I've been, I've come in and it's a very established department. So, you know, they have the adult softball, the youth basketball, the crafts with Santa. You know, they had it all. And, you know, obviously that's been missing up here. So I'm excited to just to bring that along in my interview, and maybe I think this might have got me the job, but I'm not sure. You know, I said, wouldn't it be great if this town that's already surrounded by amazing recreation opportunities had a Parks and Rec department that could match it? So that's what I'm striving for. So parks, fields, trails, like I want to improve them all. You know, I want to put Polk City Parks and Rec on the map. Like, I want to make the people down in the metro jealous of what we've got up here.
He's underselling himself a little bit. There was about 7 or 8 of those answers that got him the job. So it's true that did it, but that wasn't the only one.
Oh, well, thanks, Rob. And then another thing, and this is big picture stuff going forward. Other places I've worked, mainly my position in Carbondale, Colorado. The Parks and Rec director and all the full-time staff, they really worked closely with the Parks and Rec Commission. And I hope to do that with you guys too. You know, I want to be a resource for you, and I hope you'll be a resource for me. So, you know, when I need volunteers, I'm going to come knocking. But no, I mean, I would love to get you guys as involved as you'd like to be. And then, you know, obviously when you've got an idea, bounce it off me, and vice versa. And, you know, I think with having a volunteer group such as yourself, you know, and a full-time staff person, you know, I think if we work together, hopefully we can make some cool things happen up here together.
Well, maybe it would be helpful to you, Jason, if we just all introduced ourselves and told you kind of like what we do, how long we've lived here, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would love that.
Okay. Do you have any information on the commission members, or is it just our names? Or I'm not sure what the city keeps or doesn't keep, or how does that work?
You know, pretty much I have your name, your position. So obviously I've got you as chair and Holly as the pro tem. But other than that, when it comes to like your personal lives or even your jobs, I don't know much.
Okay. Well, we can all take turns on this call and introduce ourselves, and then you can reach out to any of us any way you want. So this is my first official meeting as the chair, and just took over from Kelly. So she took care of that for us last year. But I can't remember how long I've been on the commission. I've lived in Polk City for 5 years about. I have 3 kids that are in the school system, one in elementary, one in middle school, and one in high school. So we get to go between a lot of different buildings and schools. And then for my job, I am the policy director at the Harkin Institute at Drake University. So I oversee like research teams and research programming. And before that, I worked for the Iowa DNR. And before that, I worked for the National Program for Playground Safety. So have kind of some interest there too with how we handle those things in the city. I've become involved in it in the few years I've been on. My favorite ways to recreate, or what I do mostly around here, are running or biking on the trails.
Who's next?
I can go next.
All right.
Kelly Holland, we've lived here for almost 7 years, and I think the majority of that time I've been on the commission, but I also don't really remember how long I've been on here. So I have mostly been a stay-at-home mom for the last while. I've done subbing at school this last year. All my kids are finally in school. Before that, I did consulting through Midwest Dairy for Fuel Up to Play 60. So I worked with a lot of the area schools to do wellness programming there. And then when I worked full-time, I was with Live Healthy Iowa and the Iowa Sports Foundation in Ames. Personally, I just love being active. I like to run. I like to go on bike rides and rollerblade. And play soccer with my girls, although I never played soccer, so I'm very amateur. But yeah, just any way to get active with the family is fun. So I have 3 girls, a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and then a kindergartner, are all moving on now. But so we really enjoy this area, and we're excited to have you on board and help us do more things here. I think we've all been excited for that.
Awesome.
I'll go. My name's Holly, and my husband and I have been here for 7 years now. We just had our first kid, Stanley, and he's 3 months, 3 weeks. I taught art for 6 years and then decided to go back to school to get my associates in landscape design. So I was working at Country Landscapes in Ames as a designer, but after I had Stanley, we decided that I would stay home with him because landscaping isn't a huge money maker, so it made more sense for me to stay at home and do some independent contracting on the side. So in Polk City, we like to we love to walk, so we walk every day. A lot of people see us walking all the time. And then I like to just tinker around in the yard, and I volunteer to pull weeds and keep the plants going at the square. So that's kind of what I do.
Great. I can go next. I'm Stephanie Campbell. I've lived here in Polk City about 7 years as well. Prior to that, we moved from Beaverdale. I currently work at Red Dot. I'm the director of operations and programming there. It's an advertising and design firm. They're in Valley Junction in West Des Moines. Prior to that, though, my life was completely different. I did not go to school at all for marketing and advertising and design. I actually went to school for sports health and leisure and physical studies at the University of Iowa. Hold on, this is one of the 4 asking me something. So I've got 4 kiddos from almost 16 down to almost 6. And this is the runt here with his truck. Go ask Sophie to help me.
Mom, but she can't do this because I was driving something around.
And
a
hold on,
spring fell off.
I'm actually talking right now.
And the spring fell off. Look at it.
Okay, cool. Hold on.
Look at
Busy household, 4 different schools as well. So when we moved here, I was most excited to just kind of help in any way possible. Like I said, prior to Red Dot, my experience was all in sports health. And I actually was the director of recreation at the Altoona campus for about 10 years, just shy of 10 years. And in that time, Altoona really boomed, and I got to be a part of kind of like that collaboration between the school district, the city, the trail expansions. There were some really great programs that they started there in Altoona, and it's basically a blank slate here. So I'm super excited to be a part of it. I welcome you because I think you're just going to be I can tell you're very energetic and very excited to get started. And I think the whole community is just saturated with families who want this so badly. So I'm one of them. I can't wait to kind of see what you bring to the table. And I think you're going to have a lot of success. And I'm one of those that if you need volunteers or you need somebody to help, I'm excited about it too. And I'm happy to help.
Sorry, I tried talking and I was on mute. I think we're all really eager to make a difference. You know, I think we were all feeling kind of in a rut lately, so we're excited to have you. I second that.
Unmute my audio. Okay. So I'm Steve Karsten, newest member. Incredibly excited to be on the Parks Commission. Parks Commission members sort of may know me or may remember me because I've given you updates on community visioning in Polk City, and that is moving forward very rapidly now, and we're very excited about that. We moved to town, my wife and I moved to town 4+ years ago. We have 3 grandchildren who live here in town, and that's why we moved to Polk City from Nevada. I work at Iowa State University in education programs, and My wife has retired already, so she's here at home. We're pretty avid bike riders. We're pretty avid walkers. I like to play golf and all those recreational things that this city provides. And Jason and I already had a little conversation about community visioning, so he's up to speed on that. And of course, anyone who knows me and talks to me for just a very short time knows that I'm all about getting a high trestle trail connector to Polk City so that we can join our two big trails on either side of us through our great community. So thank you, everybody, for letting me participate in this committee.
This is Josh. Can you guys hear me yet? Hello?
We can now, yeah.
Hey, Josh.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. I've got a lot of wind. I'm outside right now, but I'm Josh Reed. I've been in Polk City since 3rd grade, so since I was like 10-ish. So I've seen the city grow quite significantly over the last, I'm not going to say how many years, but over the last couple decades. I currently have a senior to be next year, and then 2 in the middle school. And I also help lead the baseball portion of the Polk City Little League. So I know, Jason, we had a long, lengthy conversation earlier this week, so I think we had a good chance to get to know each other a little bit.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's see. And Ashley was never got on. Is that right? Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I look forward to working with y'all and getting to know you even better. And yeah, hopefully making a difference here in this really cool town. If you'd like, I'm happy to go into number 6 on our agenda, COVID-19. So this little bugger has certainly, obviously it's affected everything. So how it's affected us here though. Obviously the summer rec program as it existed, we put it on hiatus for 2020. We felt, all things considered, with the size of the group, you know, and just the factors of trying to keep those group sizes small, social distancing, 150 kids. And then recently I found out what the Board of Education recommends for bus transportation as it pertains to like high school baseball and softball. And so essentially they are a 77 passenger bus can accommodate 13 athletes this summer. So you're gonna need a lot of buses to accomplish the same thing. So I saw our transportation costs being astronomical if we were doing 13 people per bus and we had 150. So all things considered, with COVID-19 and kind of a desired restructure of the summer rec program, we did put it on hiatus for 2020. I do believe at one of our prior scheduled meetings that we did not meet, I did send out some spreadsheets with some performance of the summer rec program. Did I send that out? Am I just not making that up? Okay. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the approach we made there, or just any questions about summer rec going forward? Okay, so our intention is to, we know that it's pretty important to Polk City. It's kind of been the only city-run rec that Polk City's had for quite a while. So we're going to look to bring it back in some fashion, probably a little bit more cost-effective fashion. So I don't know exactly what that looks like right now. It could be a little bit more control on the size that we offer. It could be kind of the activities that are being done. We might have to try to incorporate some more free or very low cost options. And maybe we implement kind of a volunteerism portion of it, that maybe one day the kids, this is a bad example, but they go and they pull weeds at a assisted living community, or, something like that.
Downtown.
All
Weeds
ideas.
downtown.
Or downtown, yeah, help out. Yeah. So, if you have any ideas on local volunteerism that maybe we can incorporate going forward, I would appreciate any and all input. All right, moving on to B, parks. So we recently have reopened our parks. The only exception being the sports complex, and I will go into that in a little bit more detail here in a moment. So yes, all of our other parks are up and running with, as far as I know, all of their amenities are intact. So basketball rims are back at Kiwanis Park. The volleyball net is. I think we need to reattach the tetherball at Leonard Park, but I think that was the only miss that I saw when I was out and about today. Polk City, obviously, when Governor Reynolds kind of struck down her emergency proclamations, we followed suit with the parks. In some cases, we were a little bit more ambitious, but I think all things considered, erring on the side of caution was probably the right move. And we've slowly brought it back, and that will bring me to C, playgrounds. And I'm happy to announce that in accordance with her latest proclamation, we opened all 5 playgrounds here in town today. So what we're going to do is, going forward, myself and other city staff, we'll do a disinfect once a week. So we did our first one this morning. Me and Fire Chief Mitchell were out all day spraying down playground equipment. So if you know Chief Mitchell, please thank him. So essentially, we're using his equipment that they use in the back of the ambulance if they encounter a COVID-19 positive patient. So once they're done transporting, they spray down the back with this solution. It's safe to touch, it dries fast. So we use that on our 5 playgrounds today. Other than that, I just posted a little really corny PSA on our new Parks and Rec Facebook page of me just kind of introducing myself, saying, hey, good news, parks are open, and just some continued safety guidance that's out there. The group size, the social distancing, wash your hands, and if you're sick, for the love of God, stay home. So selfless plug, I hope you'll all like the Polk City Parks and Recreation page. Share it if you so desire. That way we can reach some more folks. Now let me tack back to the sports complex. So this is a giant pickle. It's messy, but here's kind of the direction that myself and city leadership have chosen right now. User groups, Little League, softball, and North Polk United Soccer. I reached out to my points of contact with those organizations last week, and I asked for kind of a procedural guide to how they will operate in the sports complex this summer. So with Governor Reynolds allowing sports to kind of go, it was not without parameters. There's still a social distancing component, things of that nature. So just the nature of being a one-person department, I can't be out there policing every user group, making sure that they're adhering to the guidelines of the CDC, Iowa Department of Public Health, and then in soccer's case, it would be USA Soccer. Little League, it would be Iowa Little League. So, I'm working with those individuals, trying to get just a best practices in, just so when those user groups are out there, we're not worried about it. When Little League's out there, we know that they understand the gravity of the situation. They're doing what their governing body suggests for a safe 2020 season. Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, but understandably, I mean, I did see that Little League did cancel their season, and that was made public earlier today. So yeah, I'll also be working with these user groups if and when we want to do kind of a modified anything. If Josh in Little League wants to try to do a skills and drills out at the complex, we can work with that. If soccer, who canceled their spring season, wants to do something very similar, we can work with that in the summer before hopefully they have a fall season. Any questions about any of that? It was a mouthful. I'm sorry.
This is Josh. I'll just add for the Little League piece of it. Like he said, there is going to be no summer Little League. We're hoping to do something in the fall. But Jason, just so you're aware as well, any of the Little League paid for equipment, so like the portable mounds, all of the screens, all of that will end up getting locked up, I think, in the coming weeks and won't be out there because we don't want anything to happen to it. We do not plan on taking down batting cage nets yet. We know there's other, even individual families that may want to use that throughout the year, and those usually are pretty good. But some of the stuff we put big investments in, those are going to be locked up and not available, even if we allow other teams or other leagues to practice on the fields throughout the summer.
I envision with Little League, making that difficult decision to cancel 2020, at least summer 2020. We will definitely get some requests from travel teams, all-star teams. So I'm going to try to get all scheduling to come through me, just so we're aware of when large groups are going to be out there. And, I'll work with those folks that are making the reservation of just making sure that these enhanced safety measures for the time being, they're known and they're being followed. And, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody. Little League has, their best practices already published. USSSA has the same. I would assume USA Soccer has it. So, yeah, it's a different summer. It stinks. There's no doubt about it. I was hoping to be doing some big things, this summer. So I've kind of had to retreat to hopefully introducing some new things come fall. And I'm just hoping that we get slowly closer to normal and we can do some of those things that I've got spinning around up here. So we'll see. Any other questions about number 6 there? Anything COVID-19? Okay. All right, number 7, something a little bit more fun. So July is Parks and Rec month. And so I know that I'm limited with the condition of the world, but I'm hoping to do some things that have a large virtual component. And then also they're all just social distant compliant, they're meant to be done in small groups, kind of like families. So here's kind of what I was thinking. I'm thinking to kind of introduce this new department that Polk City's never had. I'm thinking of doing kind of a photo scavenger hunt where I'll have like Polk City Parks and Recreation, 5 different things that I'll hide around in parks. And then, I can put out little clues or just, challenge people to go out and visit our parks responsibly and find these relics or, 2x4s with words painted on them. I'm not sure yet. And just take a picture of all of them. And then once you've successfully completed the puzzle of Polk City Parks and Recreation, you'll upload it to our Facebook page. Just show that you've been out, you've been enjoying our parks. And then maybe, I don't know, and maybe this is where my wonderful new volunteers come in. Maybe we get a local business to, $25 gift card for one of the teams that does it. And maybe not. I know now is a sensitive time to be fundraising. So I'm also considering that. Yeah, so I've thought about that. Something that Steve and I actually had talked about in our conversation is just like a photo contest of, like, you know, upload a picture to our page of you and your family recreating. You know, how do you recreate here in Polk City? And, you know, and if you see a beautiful sunset over Saylorville, upload that too. I mean, you know, that's green space. That's also recreation. So, you know, so I'm thinking about something like that, and you know, and then we'll have we'll kind of build a nice little catalog of stock photos of these beautiful recreation opportunities around our town that I can use in brochures down the road. They might be on our website or Facebook page. So I thought that might be a little bit neat, and unfortunately, that's almost what you're limited to doing this summer. And then the last one, this is really hopeful thinking, but if we can get to a point where maybe we can do like a movie in the park, you know, where we can go out, and again, I might have volunteers help me, where we can actually designate family here, 6 feet, family here, 6 feet, family here. So we're doing that social distancing component. And then, you know, just giving families a chance to get out and have a normal night. But obviously, Governor Reynolds will have something to say about that with proclamations going forward. So obviously, if it's not legal at the time, we'll scrap it. But I'm hoping that we get to a point where maybe we can do that in July, maybe around the time of the canceled Four Seasons Festival, just something when folks are used to having fun and being out. Those are kind of the big three that I had. Again, anything right now kind of needs a virtual component. And, you know, being a new department, I don't have a whole lot of followers on my Facebook, so I can post to my heart's content, but if there's people not looking for it, so, and I see some of these are opportunities to get a little bit of traffic coming my way. Jenny's been sharing things on the main city Facebook page to try to get traffic my way. So, and, you know, with that, you know, I invite any input from the commission. If, you know, if you can think of something that would be fun for the month of July, you know, I really want to paint this Parks and Rec month. So, you know, if you've got any tasty tidbits up there, please let me know and let's put it together.
Those are all
Go
great ideas. Yeah, some of them are mirror some of the ideas we've shared in the past too, which is kind of exciting to be on the same page. I was going to share, if you haven't reached out yet to the neighborhood groups that the city uses, as far as like connecting on social media, you should. I know that ours is really active in our neighborhood, and I think like your photo contest idea would go over really well on those neighborhood pages too, with those neighborhood representatives.
Awesome, great idea.
And I was gonna say, like, it wouldn't have to be a church thing, like, but Lakeside has an outdoor, like, giant big screen that, like, that's a community space that the community uses for soccer fields. And I know that they probably would allow, you know, us to use, like, their big screen for a parks event, like, non-church related at all, you know, but I think like that sounds really fun, and to be able to connect the community and like let them know that we exist sounds like really awesome. So and I love the photo op idea too. I mean, everyone's into that, you know, Pokemon Go and that other thing, so it'd be kind of an incentive to go find stuff, especially if it was something fun that they were finding, maybe more than just like a wood piece, but you know, if we could think of something fun to get people out, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll share a little bit of a co-op thing that I had the opportunity to be a part of. I don't know if any of you follow Polk County Conservation on Facebook. This week, for about the month of June, they're doing an art scavenger hunt around all of Polk County. And they've got 10 communities that have, I'll call it art, you know, dispersed throughout their parks. And so they've got kind of a scavenger hunt to get you to go to all these different parks. Some of them are county run, some of them are city run. But then they did something else also really neat. They had a local artist commission 10 little pieces, and they're just 10 by 10 planks of wood with colors, but the colors supposedly tell a story. They say art is in the eye of the beholder. I don't have the eye, but anyway, so they reached out to me and they wanted us to be the first stop on this hidden treasure. So this morning I went and buried our piece of art at Kiwanis Park in the volleyball pit. And at 10 o'clock, Polk County Conservation came out with this cute little Dr. Seuss rhyme about, it's something like, in the park named after good deeds, in the city that shares its name with the county, go to the desert surrounded by a sea of green. And so these people knew to come to Kiwanis Park and they dug it up. And I would really invite you to go out and find the Facebook post of the family that found it, the little boy who found it holding it up. It is pure joy in that picture. It's really good. So I'm hoping to maybe emulate that a little bit with our scavenger hunt. But if you have a free minute, go looking for that. It's really neat. And it was good PR for Polk City. Hopefully that's a partnership that I made with Polk County Conservation going forward. But yeah, so it was really neat. Please go check it out. And I think that's all I've got. I guess number 8 there with reports and particulars, I've given you all I've got. So now it's up to you guys.
Jason is done. Does the council have anything to report on?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Whoever said that. I can wait. Go ahead, Rob.
So I got a few things. Holly, you go first.
Well, I just wanted to ask, do we have any control over trail entryways? Does that involve us at all for trail access? Just a question. To the bike trail?
In this, the city would, right, in some capacity if it's on the sidewalk systems.
Well, I just wondered that because with the, I don't know if you know, the Neil Smith Trail to 415, I see a lot of people trying to cross the road to access that trail, and I didn't know if it was something that we could talk about making a kind of a, when you coming into town, there's that crosswalk that people can push to cross, because the traffic's so heavy there that I feel like it's really discouraging to be able to go walk across and access the trails in that area. And it's just something that I see all the time, and I didn't know if that was something that we could talk about or if that's something else.
So the other trail connections that we have, the city has an easement agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers. And so all the ones along Bridgeview and Lost Lakes, there's a fairly long process to get those approved. So it's usually done as new developments happen. There are some alternatives. Obviously, people are kind of cutting through there, but you can still access the same trail points from up farther on Parker.
Yeah.
And then, of course, over off of Southside. So it's not something we won't look at. It's just a matter of how it all kind of falls into place. There is a new commercial property going in at the corner of Parker and Bridge. And as part of that, that was going to be one of the city's priorities, is working with the developer and the Army Corps to get access to the trail there, because that gives access to the sports complex as well.
Okay.
So it's not exactly in the same spot, but it is getting a little closer.
Yeah. I just, how it's there's Tyler Street, and then the access to the trail is not even connected to any, you have to kind of walk on the highway a little bit before you can get on it. So it was just, I saw like this lady pushing her stroller the other day trying to cross it, and I was like, oh. So I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of parking there in that trailhead either.
No.
I would
That was
say
it, Rob.
trail connectivity is something that the Community Visioning Committee is looking at very closely, and we meet again this Thursday night. And so we hope to have some things coming out of community visioning on trails connectivity in the future.
Awesome.
That's the same point I was gonna make as well, Steve. I think wayfinding and I think we need to be careful when there's, especially in light of maybe you've heard, maybe haven't there been some issues on some of the bridges with the trail and people coming from out of town. But I don't think that the places to park and get on the trail are as known as they should be. And I think wayfinding, as Steve mentioned, with community visioning is something that is worthwhile taking up. So I don't know, Amy, if anybody else had anything on the board, but I take my liaison section here if that's okay.
Sounds great.
So a few things, and the first thing is, I know it was February, and it seems like nearly everything that could have changed between now and February has changed. But I made a note for myself. I know one of them was some of the things that Jason was going to be responsible for. Jason, at that time, Jason's position was going to be responsible for, which might be irrelevant, but I made a note that I can't read anymore. And so was there something else that I or the city owed the commission from that February meeting? Can anybody think of anything that we talked about at that meeting? And that's, if there is something, just let me know. I just, like I said, there was two things on there. One was Jason's piece, and the other I couldn't read. So great job out of me taking notes that are illegible. Other things. So I wanted to welcome Steve. Wanted to welcome Jason along with baby Mosh. I can't imagine worse timing for given everything that's gone, but Jason's done just a great job getting up to speed. Nobody asked him to move to town, and I was super excited when he did that. It showed a lot of commitment, in my opinion, and he's done a great job, again, under just unbelievably weird circumstances. I did have here on, I saw Holly, and if I wasn't running to a meeting, I would have helped because I felt terrible. So you see you with the stroller out there working. It was a nice day, but I do appreciate the work that you've done for, I think, 3 seasons now, 3 years on that. And so I wanted to bring that up just as a thank you, but I also wanted to bring it up last month in the community visioning meeting, that topic had come up, and I think had I, it shows my deficiency as a marketer. If I had maybe marketed it as a beautification project, as Steve, or I can't remember who brought it up in the community visioning, as opposed to a gardening club. Gardening club only got Holly, and not that you haven't done an amazing job, but maybe if it was a beautification club or beautification committee, it would have gotten a few more people. So I think that's something that, not to speak for the visioning committee, but again, something that like to get you some more resources, get you some more support to be able to do even more than you have been already. Next thing I have, I wanted to share this, which you probably can't see. Sorry, I know there's glare, but so we went through as a council CIP, project planning, long-term assessment, obviously a lot of park stuff on there as well. I think that we're gonna, I know we kind of graded it from our own individual perspectives and are gonna bring it back together, show it to department heads. So the items that are on there from a parks perspective, obviously want to have your guys' eyes on and thoughts on. at some point. So maybe look for that here in the next couple months or so. And then, so I typically try to take a pretty liberal approach with my liaison responsibilities here. So last thing is, if you guys have any questions, I know people see you as resources of the city. So if there are any questions that you guys have on anything that's going on outside of parks, we want to talk about that here. Obviously, I'm not trying to stretch out the meeting on irrelevant stuff, but if you guys do have any questions, I'd like to keep you guys informed as well in that capacity. So that's all that I had.
Thank you, Rob, by the way. That's very nice.
I'll share a little bit of, we didn't have a public works person here this evening, but they did kind of share a few things with me as they pertain to parks. So as many, right now the city is kind of on a spending freeze, just with the climate of the world. So a few projects that there is money for it, they've just kind of been frozen for the time being, and we look forward to their completion. The re-roofing of the bandstand, and then also the re-roofing of the gazebo at Kiwanis Park. So hopefully, once the city with our spending approach changes, those are set to go. So that'll obviously bring a little bit more beauty to those parks of something that's could use a little facelift. And then the same company was also awarded the bid to rebuild the bell tower at the Historical Society. So yeah, that was that's what I had from Public Works, and I believe Jenny's got a little something from Ken, the tree guy. Is that right?
Yes. The tree board's been busy. They planted trees, obviously in celebration of Arbor Day, but they've also gone around and done the annual spring pruning. There were 2 trees, my understanding, that didn't make it through the winter. Those have now been replaced. So they've been busy and active outside, making sure everything's ready to go when those parks opened back up this last week. That's all I have.
Thanks, everyone. Is there anything else from the commission? All right. If not, can I have a motion to adjourn until July?
So moved.
Second.
I second.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for setting up the Zoom call, Jenny and Jason, and getting everything organized. We really appreciate it. It's nice to see you and be involved still.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice
Thanks,
to meet
everybody.
you, Jason.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you too, Steve.
Yep. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.